Welcome to Heavenly Pennies with Melissa Grimsley, a podcast to help you follow your intuition, align with your soul purpose, and connect with your higher self. Eric, hello. Welcome to Heavenly Pennies.
Hi, thanks for having me, Melissa.
So excited to have you on today. Everyone who's listening, Eric and I connected. He is my Maryland buddy. We connected through old high school friends years and years ago, and it's a lovely story. We really reconnected, I would say even more so as friends recently. Prime example of, with social media, when you can see people growing and evolving and when it just makes sense to connect. And again, you're very active on Instagram, and I was seeing you sharing that light. And I'm really happy to share your light with all of the Heavenly Pennies listeners today.
Yes, well, I'm very excited to be here. And it was definitely a highlight of my 2020 to reconnect with you and to witness your growth and your journey, and to realize how we're even more alike now than we were way in the past.
Oh my God. It's so true because, when you're younger, I don't even think that I was 21 yet, or it was right in that, gap when you're like older teen into, young adult, and you're really just discovering yourself. And I'll admit my priorities weren't straight. I was not in the right mindset. I was just trying to have fun and just go and hang out with people, and it's really funny to see how, both of us, I feel, really shifted in the same direction to really just bettering ourselves. And it's involving mind, body, and spirit, totally encompassed. And I know when we spoke, it was maybe 7-8 months ago, something like that. And I was still working at this radio station, and I said, let's connect. And it was with the intention of, you possibly advertising with us. And we were just chatting back and forth, and I was getting to learn more about what it is that you do. And you said, I feel like we should be recording a podcast right now. And I was like, funny you should say that, because I've been thinking about launching a podcast for some time. And when it happens, you're going to be my guest. So look at where we are right now.
Yes. It's definitely very pleasing to see this actually come to fruition. And listening to you talk just made me think of a very intriguing thing about source. And that's that we're all essentially, connected, and we're one, and we're on the same path. So it's actually not that shocking that if we consider ourselves to be elevated spiritually, that we would come back to a common ground, a common space, a space of nurturing, of peace, of love and light. And that's beautiful. That's what makes this really nice.
Thank you so much. Yes, no, absolutely. Definitely resonate with that. And you kind of have a similar, I would say, in a sense, similar way of expressing yourself when it comes to really tying in your physical practice that you do with your mind body boxing, as well as with, connecting the mind and just really resonating with the soul. 100%. And that's similar to what I do, a lot of the times when I'm putting things out there with the yoga, and just practicing, really movement is an art, and it's really beautiful to see you expressing that as well. So why don't you give everyone a little bit of insight first as to what it is that you're doing out there in Maryland, and also what got you to really lean into that passion and to journey forward with this path?
Well, like you guys have already heard, my name is Eric Govan, and I am a professional boxer, but I'm also the founder and CEO of Mind Body Boxing. And in Mind Body Boxing, it's a practice where ultimately we like to use our body as a tool for our elevation and to our higher self. And I have engineered a way to do this through the arts of yoga, meditation, and boxing. And that's that's what we do in a nutshell.
I love that you also help people that are who are going through chemotherapy. That was something that really, spoke to me volumes when you were initially discussing your business.
Yes, well, yes, and I'll definitely want to touch on that. Yes, I do. I work with. I actually provide my program free through Hope Connections for Cancer Support, and they provide services for people who are recovering from their cancer survivorship through chemotherapy or whatever form of treatment. And it kind of would me ended up in that circle is totally just destiny manifesting itself. And I would have never, like when I initially created this company, I created it with the idea of supporting people who had a similar story as mine, coming from troubled, uh, you know, economically deprived areas, and and really connecting and relating to people who have really been through a certain type of trauma in their lifetime and had to survive that, and trying to be a support system for people going through those type of real life circumstance. And but lo and behold, when you do something from your heart, you tend to find like a much bigger um corridor uh, for people who can relate to you. And because I am a survivor, I mean, of my own life story, I tend to relate deeply with people who have to fight for their survival. And this is the connection that I have with people who have gone through a battle with cancer. And so it's a very deep thing, and I really appreciate the opportunity to work with this divine group of people, because you'll find yourself hard pressed to find a person more mentally strong and spiritually aware than a cancer survivor.
It's true. It's true. And I know one of the things that you kind of emphasize is, being a warrior. That's, a key word for you. And I have the yoga warrior gear on today, just little warrior 2 action, reverse warrior. I'm all geared up for battle here. But what does being a warrior mean to you?
So now we're going to get funny now. All right. So if I have to break it down, okay, it's kind of inappropriate a little bit, but I'll break it down like this. I'm going to talk about the birth of a warrior. Okay. So, and this is when warriors are born, and it happens very early in life, very, very early. Okay. It is the moment when millions of sperm do a little battle uh, to what's to get to the egg.
Swim?
No, but really, even the opportunity to be born, you have to win a battle to even be born. Okay, you've already proven yourself. You had to overcome almost insurmountable odds just to be born. You had to fight. And so I believe that we're all in the this is another truth about life, and we kind of lose sight of this because life has become relatively easy in terms that we can go get our food from the grocery store, as opposed to way back in like hunter and gather society, where you had to actually go out.
look what just
Yeah.
happened with Texas too. That's a prime example. You know, the things that we take for granted, going to the grocery store. My aunt was texting me saying that shelves are empty and that stores are closed. I mean, you're right, 100%. These are things that people take for granted. Unfortunately, all of us do at some point or another, because without the loss, you don't realize what it is that you have.
And you might underestimate the reality of the real capability to have that mental fortitude to go out and fight for it. I mean,
Mm,
I don't mean actually fight, but I mean work for it. You have to push yourself. And like what we know in as professional fighters is that most fighting is done in the mind. 70% of boxing is mental. So
mm,
the warrior is here. You know, the physical, your physical form of how you express it. You know, that's just how we defer in life. Like, but ultimately, the warrior is in the mind. He just
mm.
might you just might express it in a different way.
Yeah, and I have to take it back a moment. Very interesting that you brought up the being born into this, right? So you're fighting. It's for that birth, that revival. And when I was at the beginning of writing my book, when it was really starting to take off, I really made that same similar connection analogy. It's like I'm birthing this book, this message, this thing that I need to gift to people with the world. And I was like holding on to it. And it's like, it's ready to go. Like the baby's ready to come. Like, you know, and when you feel that sense of that urgency, it's like, you know, then you're there. And then it's a matter of actually birthing it, actually going through with it. And I'm so happy that, you know, with us kind of having that glimmering moment with me just suggesting, I want to have this podcast. And, you know, I'm thinking of the same thing. And for it to actually be executed, you know, because there really are those three elements. It's the creation of it, you know, mentally preparing yourself, saying that you are capable and really able to step foot into it, not worrying about what may or may not happen, but really leaning into that feeling of how you're going to get there, you know, not thinking too far ahead, but just taking it step by step. My Poppy Lou used to always say, and I'll still hear him in spirit saying to me every now and again, one step at a time. You know, you need to take those steps to finally get there. But once you're there, it's a matter of shooting the bow and arrow and executing it, stepping into that warrior mode.
hmm Yes, you have to. I call it. It's like the master over the clay of life, and you have to be able to mold this material world in a way that, of your liking, and that takes a real amount of discipline and discernment, and that's what we do at Mind Body Boxing. It's very beautiful and great to be connected to the spiritual and the light and the love, but there's also a deeper reality of the type of discipline, determination, and mental fortitude that's required to push something into the world. And that's why I utilize boxing to help people play, like train themselves, because you have to be able to kind of step into the storm and still plot your course and be the master of the whirlwind. And and you get to experience that through boxing, through that technicality, through having to use your body to manifest something. So you know, it comes together real nice.
Mm. It and it's interesting because I took my first boxing class. I'm going to have to come by the way, next time that I come to visit Maryland. But I took a boxing class maybe like it was a month or so ago, and you're right. You really need to be in this almost like a meditative trance state when you're just swinging, you know, and I know that people get a huge rush off of that to really just be there again. Like when you're in yoga, it's like you're just there on the mat. And I'm sure it's similar when you're boxing, you're just there in the ring. Or, I know you really have a special story from similar to mine, being in a dark state that really pushed you to get to the point of where you are right now with journeying with boxing. Why don't you share with listeners a little bit about what that, what it took for you to get there?
Okay. Yes. So I had a very challenging life circumstance, that I was born into. And, because, I came up like, a lot of African Americans, from a broken home. And I don't take anything away from my parents because they didn't have it any better than I did. Sometimes I say that even begin to tell my story, I have to tell their story, but I don't have time for all of that today. but I would say, so I don't want to take away from them at all. But when I was relatively young, about 14, my older brother, or my god brother, but he was my hero. He was brutally murdered, and that it played a significant it took a significant toll on me, and it really changed me in a very dark way, and my life spiraled in a very negative path from that point, a very hopeless place.
Which is very common. I mean, that's something that people, can find themselves really spiraling in those moments. So I totally understand that.
Yeah, I was really going through a real dark internal struggle, and when I look back on it, at the end of the day, like some of the things I did, it was more or less my own expression of the pain that I was in. Uh, Unfortunately, that almost very nearly led me to my death. Um, a few years later, and so when I was around, I think like 17, 18 years old, I had a real near death experience. Uh, and I'll tell you a little bit about that moment for me. Excluding a lot of the details, but I thought I was going to die, and I mean I really believed, I thought my time had come. It was my moment, and right in that moment, my life flashed before my eyes, and I saw every day of my life, like from my birth all the way up to that very moment of where I knew for certain that it was my last moment. And when I got to that moment in time, I just became overcame with this deep, deep, deep. I can call it regret, but it's nothing like anything that any person feels on a day-to-day basis. I've never felt it like this before. I mean, since, but and the way I can describe it is if I was laying at the bottom of an ocean, and I felt the weight of the ocean on top of me, holding me down, and it was all dark because you can't see anything at the bottom of the ocean. But this is an ocean, not of water. This is an ocean of regret. And so I laid at the bottom of this black ocean of regret. And the regret I had was associated with the fact that I had realized that I was about to die there on the floor uh, in a crack house, if I want to be perfectly honest, um, without once having tried to do anything that was actually in my heart. I would die unheard of, unknown, very young, without ever trying to live, without ever trying to express anything that truly was from like in my heart, that I cared about. And when I realized that I would die without having ever lived, it was a very devastating experience.
And it
So
really, it in turn was the death of the old self.
yeah,
Seeing
yeah,
that.
it was, and I, I got very lucky that night, and I survived, and
Because you're a
you
warrior.
know, because I don't know, I can't even explain some of these things, but after that experience, my there was something written on my soul after that day that has never stopped. Every day the same drum, and I will not, you will not, I will not leave this earth. When I leave this earth, it won't be because you don't know who I truly am. Like even when I go, you will know the real me.
Mm.
I will express who I truly am. I have to. I know that, and so every day of my life, I've been fighting to do just that since then, to just be who I truly am, and that is a big part of the reason why you see me here today.
I love that story. It's so, and when you shared it to me, when we had reconnected again, I had no idea that you had gone through all of that. And it really did, touch me to hear that and to see how really life is a gift. And for you to recognize that in that dark moment, because it's so easy for someone to say, that's it, I'm done, I give up, whatever you want to do, do it. But you said, no, enough is enough. I'm going to do something to change it, to shift, and to live my life to the fullest and step foot into my passions, these things that give me joy, that bring me that light and that energy, and not the things on the surface, but to really dig beneath the layers and to see what brings you pure joy that is of the highest intentions.
And for me to even put it a little bit more clearly, ultimately, I realized that to that point, I was reacting to life. I was reacting to my circumstances, and the things that I was choosing to do every day was based off of how I was responding to these circumstances that I really had no control over. And so what I really changed was I said, I'm going to respond to my true self, and I'm
Mm.
going to dictate my circumstances based upon how I feel internally, instead of letting the external world dictate how I respond. And because if you allow, your misfortunes to dictate your actions, they can and will destroy you. You have to be the master. You have to control your mind, and you have to be able to take what's in your mind and bring it to reality. Make the world that you want. You know what I mean? That's your power, and that's my power, and that's what I'm here to do.
You're doing it right, Eric. Your coaching and your words of wisdom and seeing you in this space, really, really proud of you and really happy that you are here and on this Heavenly Pennies podcast to share these glimmering, moments or dark moments that can turn into these glimmering moments, I should say. What I want to go a little bit deeper. I know that you had a moment where you were able to completely shift and focus and train yourself as a professional boxer in the ring. And that was something else that really spoke volumes to me. So, can you share that with listeners as well?
Okay, yes. So it's been I mean, I've been in this boxing game for a long time. It's a few moments, I've had with this, and even to me becoming what the mind body boxer, which is a whole different, another shift. But So I hope that I know which one we're talking about.
That's okay. If it's a new one, I'll take it.
Yeah, but this one's a really, tough story too. I'll tell one that I think is meaningful and purposeful. Um, well, I had, I started boxing late. I lived this whole life, of a gangster, really, and I tried to change my life, and once again, I think spirit guided me to boxing because it really gave me the discipline to leave certain things behind. It gave me something to focus on, and so I wouldn't fall into the same patterns. And so and I wasn't even going to do it professionally. I just did it because it just helped me stay focused. And I worked. I went to school.
That's how the
I tried to
passions
do.
start.
Yeah, I went to school, and
You're enjoying
I
it,
had
you're
actually.
doing it. Yep. And then the
Yeah,
next thing you
yeah,
know,
enjoying it.
you're sharing it with the world.
Yeah. Well, I had actually became a engineer, a high pressure engineer, and that's how I initially, got into, out of that. And I was living in at the time I was living in West Baltimore City, a real very rough area, and when I finally, got a real career, real great job. I was able to move to Montgomery County, and I got me a real nice place, and I was living the life. I was young. I was like 22, and I had this beautiful 2 bedroom condo, and I got this super sport SUV. It was, and I had a beautiful girlfriend and all the material things you would think that would equate to a meaningful, purposeful life.
She
But
is beautiful, by the way. I love you guys with your
oh,
fiance, all your pictures that you have and everything up. Different
I'm
girlfriend?
not talking. I'm not talking about her now. But yeah, but I love her
Oh
too.
my gosh. Okay.
No, this is. Hey, okay, she can't listen to this now.
Well, no, she'll be happy I brought her up. So
No,
there we
she
go.
knows she knows this. She knows this story. But no, but so I had all on the outside looking in, you would have thought that I was really happy. But I actually I wasn't happy at all. My things became very difficult for me at work. Uh, because I was young and I was black and I was in a predominantly white area with a lot of professionals. I was just very intuitive. Like people was like, how
Mm,
is this guy like, how's he moving up so quick? I'm just very intuitive, it was spirit
mm,
guiding me. And it was
mm-hmm.
just opening doors for me. People couldn't even understand it. I dealt with a lot of jealousy and a lot of like racism, to be perfectly honest about it.
Yeah.
And
And that's
and I mean it
something.
was
Yeah, no, I mean, that's something, again, I haven't necessarily experienced, obviously, to the degree that you have. You said growing up in a, area of poverty and trying to shift and to make your way out of that space into a place where you are making a great income and you can live comfortably, right? Whereas then you're in this place, you're happy that you're thriving, but you're dealing with the criticism or the sensing of the energy. And part of that is maybe because you grew up feeling that way, right? And those are layers that we need to shift away to really peel away the layers of the onion. And then the other part of it is there is jealousy, where it's important to really boost people up and to, when you can recognize you're having those moments, to really step back from that and push forward to persevere through it. I mean, I know personally, I experienced racism from the other side of things. And I think it's such a beautiful space that we have this white girl and Black man on this podcast right now, just real talking it, that this is life, connect, shift through it. Because, had you said you held on to that, I'm sorry, I know I'm totally going off topic right now,
No,
but
go for it.
but had you stayed in that space of that, you then in turn reflected that hate of what it was that was being directed to you, you wouldn't be where you are right now. And nor would I. I've been called a stupid white girl, had my hair pulled, been pushed down hills, and there was rumors that I was a lesbian. I was really bullied as a child.
Yeah.
So, we all have these moments, and it's a matter of not judging people, but then seeing it and allowing yourself to shift from it, because you're not going to be able to move forward from it if you stay in a place of hate, regardless of whatever side that it's coming from.
Yes, absolutely. But just to expand upon, what I was saying, so you can really get an idea of what it was like for me.
Please.
So I was I was in a very liberated state. I really was liberated from some type of bondage. I even remember my job interview. I thought there was no way that I was going to get a job, because when I got to the location and I saw the area and I realized what I had just worked up to.
Wow.
I when I got into the interview, as much as I practiced, as soon as she started to ask me any question about me, I think I was trying to say my name. I couldn't remember my name. And then I just completely hyperventilated. And then she had to give me a bag. I had to breathe into the bag. And I thought and then she called the lead engineer to interview me. Because she, and once he started asking me questions about technical stuff, and then I was able to talk to him. But I thought but she thought I was cute. I don't know. she hired me. I don't know why you would hire somebody hyperventilating in the interview. But some of so I was very happy. But it was a total and complete culture shock for me. Total and complete.
I can only imagine. Shock. Yeah, because you haven't been in that environment. So now you're there, which is what people in these circumstances, when you are in these poverty, towns, that's the goal, right? You're either going to stay there and do whatever you got to do to survive, like you said, the other option, the other road that you kind of had journeyed down, or you can go down here, we're going to do this. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it out. I'm going to do what I got to do to get there. And that's a really powerful message and statement for people that are listening. What would you say to someone if they are tuning in and they are in a place where they don't see a way out of that town, where they don't see a way to make it to a place where they do feel comfortable? And not that it has to be of this culture shock, right? It doesn't need to be, you don't have to feel that way, but to a place of, wealth, prosperity, and comfort and safety.
I would say the same thing I would tell anyone, right, regarding most things in life. Okay, is that you cannot listen to your mind. You cannot depend and rely on your logic, and you cannot we tend to be fear based, and we tend to project these ideas into our life about what's possible. Even in the fight in a boxing ring, you have to not think, because there is so much that action. You can't underestimate the power of acting. And as I even right to this day, as I travel through life, I don't try to anticipate everything. I focus on what I'm investing. and I'll let life, the universe, carry me to where I'm going. I just invest the right intention. And if you do that, the world becomes marvelous and miraculous, because it will change and respond to you in ways that you might not have ever even imagined. And you have to be open to that, to even identify it, because you can get trapped in a type of dogmatic frame of mind where you are telling yourself the same story over and over again.
100%.
Because so your life might change around you, and you still might not even be aware of it, because what you believe truly controls where you go and how you feel. So
Definitely.
I say be humble, and don't try not to be humble enough to understand that you don't know everything. And that is a great thing. That's a beautiful, that means life is dynamic and that it can change. That's what that means.
Wise words. I love that. Just to find that joy, to be humble in those moments that you are experiencing, no matter what it is that you're doing, because the more that you are leaning into that space, opposed to allowing yourself to go into the negative downward spiral, which can happen. And it's okay when it does. You just got to snap yourself back. But to just continue to shift in that direction of where it is that you deserve, what it is that you deserve. Because a lot of the times when we are lacking something in our lives, it's because we're not open to receiving it. Oh, well, this person's better at me than this. Or, oh, how can I measure up to that? And we have these negative criticizing thoughts, and it's the outside world. How could I survive without a 9 to 5? I need my health benefits. It's these panicking fear moments that can hold us back from our ultimate truths. And once we can just lean into what it is that's giving us the joy, and to be humble in that experience, and not judge others, and to just honor wherever people are at in their journey, that's the key.
Beautiful. But can I share one other thing? I gotta do this.
I love talking to you
people.
because we'll go for hours. We'll just go for hours because we have so much to share. But yes, please share.
But
what have you
this
got?
is important. I have to I forgot about this, but I have to tell this, because if anyone's going through this, I need to inform the public of what it might be like for a young African American brother like me, coming from one environment to the next.
Please.
And how it can be socially. So this is something that I went through. I was, I've never, and I've known you, Melissa, before this stuff ever happened. I've never been racist, and I'm just not that. I've just always been a very loving person. I've always given people opportunities.
You always had, yeah. And that's why we were friends, regardless of immature youth and, where our priorities were at with what we were doing in life. But we always had those interesting, spiritual discussions. So, yeah, I yes. Definitely, I agree with that.
So, but still, though, when I came into this different world, I still had a certain swagger about myself, though, that I didn't understand how it may have put people off, or had made people may have been afraid of me, based off of just how I look like, the environment I came from, and so
people see that as a threat. Some people,
yeah, as a threat. Yes, it's a threat, and so when I would come walking down the street, like very happy. Very happy. I wanted to connect with the community. I wanted to say hi to my neighbors. But when people would see me, they would literally turn around, walk the other way, or cross the street, or most of the time they just put their heads down and not acknowledge me at all. Like I would want to say hello. and this is also something but before I even got to that point though, there was something else that I became very aware of. And where I'm from, we don't say hello like when we see each other, because you never
Right.
know who's a threat.
Mm.
And we it's a serious, it's called mugging. Like, we give each other a serious type of eye contact to let you know where we're at on the food chain. And it's a protection type thing. But so, and one thing I realized, moving to a better area, I guess, was that or more economically advantaged community, was that one the first thing that I realized, and I'm so happy about this, was so big, is how I wasn't networking. And networking is simple. It's saying hello. How are you? Just saying hello and how are you opens your possibility by a couple of 1,000% of you meeting someone who can actually do something for you in your life, of getting good relationships, good friendships. Just being able to say hello, how you doing? How's your day going? To strangers, and constantly building relationships. Very healthy. But this is not something that we do in my community in that
Wow.
method, in that manner. And this too was a culture shock. It was awakening for me, and
Mm.
understanding
Mm-hmm.
the power of it. I felt so angry for and upset, that this is another dynamic that we have to face in my community that might be limiting our productivity. So then I made up in my mind that I was going to say hello to everyone. And then that's when I realized that was going to be kind of hard for me, because people, when they saw me, they would walk the other way, or they would put their heads down. They would not engage with me. They were afraid of me. And
So
it
you're getting
was,
it from both angles, right? That's very challenging.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but with every challenge comes an opportunity for success.
You
And
said it.
yeah, and I started to, I immediately I started to I understood how I presented myself, how much power that had, the power of presentation. And so I started, that's when I really started to like alter the way I dress, and understanding the power of my persona, and really making, and even from the onset, when you first glare at me, I wanted to be something of intrigue, and to make you, maybe you will say hi because you're just intrigued, and that really helped me a lot.
That's, very interesting to hear that perspective. Because I've never experienced it from that, I hadn't even realized that was a way that it really is kind of blocking your communication, your networking, to from both environments.
Mhm.
And I always appreciate anyone from different backgrounds sharing these types of things with me, because it gives me deeper insight. Maybe then I'm looking at someone and I'm like, well, why aren't they looking back and smiling back? Maybe it's because they were grown up that way. They were accustomed to not sharing a smile, and I would come off to people as a threat, because then meanwhile, here comes this bubbly white girl smiling and hey, hey, and they're like, who's that? So I would get some of the looks and I'm like, well, what that, because it is a, way that you're accustomed to doing things. And I have to bring it back to, with the Black Lives Matter movement, because one thing that really resonated with me, I saw a story on social media And it was about a Black male who had he was arrested, and he just shared his story because of everything that was going on with everything. And he had explained that he was thrown face down into a curb and arrested, and he actually had nothing to do with the situation that was going on by him. And that really resonated with me, because I'm like, okay, me getting arrested in a situation would be totally different, as, being the race that I am and a female. I can see how there are judgments made. And not only that, as far as where you're at, right? So even if you're just in a community that happens to be of a poverty community, or there's a lot of things that are happening. So that was just something that, I was reflecting on, because it's like, I can't speak to that because I haven't been in that situation. But at the same time, I am compassionate towards you, and I'm here to listen. And I think it's a matter of all of us raising each other up and just bringing it back to love, because that's what it all boils down to, and unity and peace.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And connection and courage and leadership. And that's what, yeah. And that's why I take what I do very seriously, because I have, leadership comes from a place of responsibility and ownership. And I feel as a Black man, as a strong Black man, it is my job to take ownership and responsibility for the things that I feel like I can serve. And in this way, understanding myself and my growth, I can serve my community. And sometimes you got to be more forceful, with how you communicate. but I'm definitely here to shepherd, my flock, and try to help, people who can relate to me and my struggles, uh, out of their circumstance.
We all have our stories, we all have our struggles, and I really do appreciate you shining light on those things, so that, other people, if they're listening, they can really relate to that, and think of other ways and modalities to handle these circumstances. I would love for you to share maybe a practice that you personally, or something that you like to do, as well as I think you might be doing a meditation for listeners today.
Aha! All right. Yes. I am going to share a little bit of what I like to do with you and all of your listeners.
Can't wait.
Okay. So basically, I'm gonna just do a little bit of an introductory, but then I'm gonna skip to a little bit more advanced energy meditation for you yogis out there who are sensitive and can really tap into your energy. All right. So let's do it. All right. So this is what we're gonna do. So you can do this for, we're going to do this from a seated posture.
And are you reading this from a book, or what is this that you are sharing with everybody? Where was this gathered from?
No, I'm not reading this from a book. Everything's in here.
It's from you.
I practice what I preach.
And I love. I know you had led a lot of different meditations, so that's why I was curious. Awesome, thanks.
Oh, yeah. Well, people always think, people don't really understand that mind body boxing is exactly what I say it is. It's boxing, yoga, and meditation. People tend to believe that I'm just going to show up and do boxing. And then, so they're like, I'm serious. They're like, and then they get all this meditative stuff from me. 75% really meditative. And
that's fantastic.
and yoga.
See, I feel like they're probably drawn there too intuitively. Like they don't even realize that that's what they're needing. For the people that are the real, like just physically active, like go, 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 can't sit still. And then they come in and you're like, sit, we're going to do some meditation and yoga first. They're like, wait, what?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm definitely going to show you. So I'm going to stand up. I want you to follow along with me. But some of these, you're not going to be able to complete all these movements because you're in a seated position. But do what you can.
Okay. All right.
So you ready?
Let's go.
All right. Here we go. So can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm actually going to take off my headset for this. So
Sure.
I won't be able to hear you, but I'm with you in spirit.
All right.
All right, here we go. So initially, we always start the same way. We start in a relaxed posture, feet about shoulder width apart, nice slight bend in our knees. I place my hands right in front of my body like so. Okay? So just like in your typical yoga practice, everything here starts with the breath. Okay, we focus on the breath. The breath is your power. Okay? So hands in front of your body. I want you to take a nice deep breath, spread your arms nice and wide, opening them up, pinching the shoulder blades together. Good job. Exhale, bring it forward, nice and calm. Yes, let's do it again. Nice deep breath. Opening up nice and wide, pinching the shoulder blades together. Exhale, bring it back in. Good job. Let's do one more time. Nice deep breath. Open up nice and wide. Pinching the shoulder blades together. Exhale, bring it in. Beautiful. Good. Now I want you to go ahead and transition. Open your arms up to the side. You're going to take another nice deep breath, bringing the hands all the way to the ceiling, extending your arms, reaching with your fingers. Good. Now go ahead and exhale, bring your hands right back down the side. It's okay, Melissa. That's good. We're going to do it one more time. We're going to take a nice deep breath. Open your arms all the way to the side. Bring your hands to the ceiling. This time when you exhale, I want you to bring your hands straight down. Bringing your focus to your mind, to your body. Yes, nice and good. Beautiful. One more time, arms up to the side, nice deep breath. All the way around. Exhale, slowly bring your hands down. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff right here. All right, so now I want you to interlock your fingers at the bottom. Take a nice deep breath, raise your hands to the ceiling, bring it all the way to the top, stretching it out. Beautiful. Slowly releasing your fingers at the top, slowly bringing it down. That's good. Two more postures I'm going to show you right now. Nice deep breath, open your arms up to the side, bring your hands all the way to the top. Coming into prayer posture, bring your palms together. Good job. Now I want you to come and bring your palms all the way down to your chest. Beautiful. Exhale, raise your hands back to the sky. Bring them all the way back around. We're going to have to do a private lesson, Melissa. Deep breath, open your arms up to the side. Bring your palms together again at the top. Still holding your breath. Bring it all the way down to your chest. Exhale. Bring it all the way around. One more time, we can open the arms to the side. Taking a nice deep breath. Exhale, slowly bringing your hands down in front of your body. Beautiful. All right, so that was a little bit. I'll put my headset on. Hello?
Hey, that was great.
Yeah, that was real nice. So that was a little bit of energy meditation. Like we use our physical bodies uh, to as a tool to sense our energy body, which is our aura or your bioelectromagnetic field, and we want to be in touch with the sensation of that because you really need to understand how you feel, right?
Kind of a little bit of like a sun A type of motions. I know that's kind of what it felt like with the gathering the energy, bringing it center, linking it with the breath.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, loved that.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. So, do you have some special spiritual influencer or someone who has influenced you as far as with boxing that you would like to share with listeners today?
Sure. uh, yes, special spiritual influencers. Uh, if I have to say in order, I mean, because you like most people, my first go to would have to be, the Bible. And even though how I identify myself has gone like beyond that entirely, but that was definitely the first tool, a resource I had to really connect with
Mm,
anything on a, in a spiritual way, in a way that I felt comfortable with. But
hmm.
thankfully, I was able to go beyond that. And but past that, I would say I have a number. Some people there you that might even surprise you, but but they come to mind. I would definitely say a guru by the name of Paula Paula God, I always messes up. Uh, it's Paula Mahansa Yogananda, and
Okay.
he started the SRF fellowship. I have a very, I don't have all those super popular like gurus that people know, but
Funny.
I'm deaf. Go ahead.
Well, right when you said guru, though, I thought for a minute you were taking it back to the musician guru.
Oh
And
no
I was like, oh, guru, he's busting out
no.
guru. What you know about guru? Oh man, that takes me back.
But I actually want to say something else that I think will kind of throw people for a loop. Well, my favorite boxer is Floyd Mayweather, and I would argue that Floyd Mayweather is a spiritual. He's a mastership level, like almost sage like uh, ability in the ring. I mean, really. I mean, I don't even think he's truly aware of what he's truly tapping into, how far he's pushed himself, and how hard he's disciplined himself, and how intuitive his process really is. I see a master like a spirit, like of mind, body, and spirit when I watch him perform. Um, Also, I have, someone who I really like a lot is this guy was Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary V.
Okay.
He's an influencer. He's a social media marketing mogul, but he is on something, and he is definitely tapped into some higher thought realm, and he's expressing it in a different modality than what we're used to. But it's interesting when you see people who don't come from what people would consider like a spiritual background, but they're
Mm,
definitely relaying some deep insight and introspect.
mm.
Almost from the highest uh, capability. And
It's true because you can really tune in when you see people that are at that frequency level. I mean, I can always usually tell if I go to a yoga class if someone is also practicing as a Reiki practitioner. I'm like, You do a little bit of Reiki, don't you? You know how you mentioned the boxer and how you can tell that he's kind of doing, he's getting into the mind a little bit. So it's very interesting when you can come from that place where you can see with like minds and how people really do connect.
Yes, 100%. I want, but and this is from a very humble place. I'll say this, okay? Um, some of us are unfortunate enough to, go through these real, you know, these very, very um, difficult life circumstances that force us to truly tap into these deep aspects of our being. And they bring us close, very close uh, to our own union with the divine. And that's really the reason why, you see me here today. And so always my highest teacher is is my own self.
Mm.
And I say that bittersweet, but and that's why I think people should listen to people like me and like Melissa, like people who come forth and want to make a pathway so you don't have to necessarily go through the same pit. That's what the masters created. It's created to help you from going through the same pitfalls or time, uh, to get to a certain level. Like because of my life and my history and my past and my evolution, I understand how to get to a certain point. And I know the things that worked for me, and I have packaged them together in a way that could work for you. And I'm here to protect you from the world. That's what a teacher's there to do. And give you knowledge without having to, break your leg.
And
So
no, that's great. I mean, you really nailed it as far as people that have gone through certain things or maybe gained certain insights are there to share these words and tools and practices so that people can, kind of up level to jump to the next level there. At the same time, obviously sometimes we bring things upon ourselves as, teaching ourselves when we need to go through something and to, really grow from that space. But that's a great take as far as, you don't have to necessarily be hitting all of these, rock bottoms if you are just kind of picking up a little bit here and picking up a little bit there to help you to push through and evolve spiritually and mentally and physically.
yes, and I'll say this other point. Uh, we're co-creators, and my growth has everything to do with your growth. Like we're growing right now, and on this podcast together, and every bit of life, every bit of breath, every bit of everything is here to support you on your journey and me on mine. And
And listeners listening.
yeah, so it's not about me, it's not about you, it's about us. And and we can put down these egos and we can learn to connect.
Ego, that's a
Right?
whole other podcast show in itself. Let me tell you. And thank you for that, because that was a direct message from source, because I have been recognizing it so much clearly just this week. I don't know if it's because Mercury's finally out of retrograde or what is going on, but I'm like, okay, I see that that's that person's ego. Okay, this is my ego, and just to recognize that you have these human moments, but you can release it. You don't need to sit with that.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
What does spirituality mean to you, Eric?
And that's going to be a, I never answer questions the way people like. Like I think they want me to answer the question.
No, it's how you want to answer the question.
Um,
That's what makes this real.
yeah.
Don't say what I want you to say. I want you to say what you want to say.
Spirituality. What does it mean to me? It's quite funny. Uh, and in a nutshell, I'll say it like this. Uh, have you ever seen a picture of our galaxy or the universe? Or I mean, and have you ever been filled with wonderment of the beauty and the magnificence and the awe and the radiance? That's spirituality. Everything to me. And it's about being able to see it from a certain perspective and recognize how everything is spiritual, everything is holy, everything is a, a piece of this radiance and a piece of this wonderment. Um, everything, everything.
It all connects. I love that. What do you mean? If I wouldn't like that. I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I could have just said everything and just
he busts out the universe. These analogies. You always have these great mind picturing analogies every time we speak. I love it because it really gets people to shift that visionary, to see it again from that other perspective. So that's beautiful. How about favorite musician? And I know we discussed influencer, but maybe if you have a book or an author that you would like to share with everyone who's tuned in today.
Okay, man. Well, favorite musician. I'm gonna have to say Jay-Z.
Which that's why now I know why you have the hidden love affair for my cat Beyonce.
Yeah, no.
Now it makes sense.
Yes. This is true. So I took it as a sign. I was like, wow, cat's Beyonce. Okay. But yeah, Jay-Z is definitely, I think he's special, and I love how he communicates, and I love how he stays in his truth, and how he really behaves like a whole person, like a real person, not just trying to project one side of your persona, your ego, but and it's beautiful that he's been able to be this successful, sticking to his truth and his values, and I love his sharp business mind. And and he's definitely my guy. So, and as far as my favorite books, one of them is definitely Autobiography of a Yogi, written by Paramahansa Yogananda, and I hope I'm saying that right. I hope I am. It's a hard one to pronounce. Another is a book that I don't know if I know it's on the bestsellers list, but it's The Tao. It was written by an author named Ilchi Lee out of Korea.
What is it called again?
Also, it's just called The Tao, The Way. I also love right now what I'm reading that I'm really in love with is The Art of War. And I have a lot of books, but one of my favorites.
Those are good ones. I just like to sprinkle a few little heavenly pennies for those tuning in. If they're, resonating with what you're saying, maybe they'll want to pick something new up. So that's always good to share. And I think what you said at the beginning of this podcast before I hit record, it happened. We made a moment today. So thank you so much for sharing your light and your wisdom. Before we go, I did pull a lovely card for you and listeners. And the one I had to pull, obviously, was from my warrior deck today. So this is Namaste, Blessing and Divination cards by Carmine Salerno. Carmine Salerno. So here are my little Namaste cards. Sometimes I like to place these around for students when I am teaching some yoga classes. But I immediately pulled this card today. So a pretty little picture. And it says, Namaste, blessing. The divine in me acknowledges the divine in you. I bow to you and honor your inner light of pure and unconditional love. Eternal peace be with you. Eternal love be with you. Eternal joy be with you through this serendipitous blessing.
Oh, wow.
Namaste. Eric, it's been a pleasure. I will let you go back to training all of your lovely people there in Maryland, and I will hold you up to giving me a personal session when I am in Maryland because I got to get that cardio up.
Yeah. Okay. We definitely gonna have to do that. I just love to connect with you anyway. It's a great practice, great time for us to really, just connect.
Such a pleasure. Thank you so much, Eric, and we'll be in touch soon.
All right. Thank you.